There are many Inland Empire tales of the supernatural to be told. A number of them have been reported in the pages of the San Bernardino Sun and the Riverside Press Enterprise newspapers. The story of the Phantom of the High School Prom dates back to the late 1920s. 3 young men were driving to the San Bernardino High School prom. They stopped at the corner of Waterman and Highland Avenues. It was there that they spotted a young woman dressed in a formal white gown. She asked for a ride to the prom, and they obliged. She said her name was Vicky Baxter. Vicky spent the night dancing and conversing with other prom attendees. At the end of the dance, she asked the 3 young men to take her back to the corner where she had been picked up. Exiting the car, she walked through a gate, which was the entrance to Mountain View Cemetery. She then disappeared. The incident was reported to the police, who contacted Vicky Baxter's mother. She told them that her daughter had been killed in an auto accident the year before on her way to the prom. The legend is that she would reappear at the San Bernardino High School prom every 3 to 4 years. In 1978, there was an investigation by San Bernardino High School journalism student Greg Cole and history teacher Brian Burke. It revealed that no student by the name of Vicky Baxter had ever attended San Bernardino High School. They also reported that no one by the name of Vicky Baxter was buried at Mountain View Cemetery. White lady ghosts are a fairly common apparition seen throughout the paranormal world. They are usually associated with local legends involving a tragedy, such as an accidental death, murder, or suicide. The Phantom of the High School prom could be considered such a ghost. Mary Ann is the Redlands version of this spirit. It is said that she inhabits the Glenn Wallack's Theater at the University of Redlands. This white lady was allegedly a former drama student who was killed in an auto accident while on her way to a performance. The ghost engages in mischievous activities. A former costume designer once alleged that she would constantly find a certain dress on the floor in the storage room. The designer would replace the dress on the costume rack, and when she returned, it would be on the floor again. Mary Ann would occasionally be seen floating above the stage, disturbing the stage lights and causing props to fall to the ground. She has made her presence known since the late 1960s. From 1958 to 1959, the beast beneath the bridge would terrorize Riverside motorists driving at night. The beast would emerge from beneath a bridge crossing the Santa Ana River. One eyewitness described the creature as a 6-foot reptilian with scaly skin and no nose or ears. This description matches the appearance of the Gill Man in the 1954 movie Creature from the Black Lagoon. In the 1970s, footprints allegedly belonging to Bigfoot were spotted in the Santa Ana River basin, but there was never any connection made between the two creatures. In the October 31, 2010 edition of the Riverside Press Enterprise newspaper, an article appeared that attempted to explain the mystery of the beast beneath the bridge. In an interview some 50 years after the fact, retired Riverside City College professor of biology Cecil Johnson claimed that he was the beast. Johnson said he would don a phosphorescent outfit and a ghostly mask to prank the locals into believing that they had seen a monster. In 1965, the city of Yucaipa drew nationwide interest when the owners of a house reported mysterious pounding coming from within its walls. The noises started in December, and by January of 1966, the Cannon family had had enough and put a for sale sign in front of their home. At its worst, the poundings numbered 60-plus times a day. Things were so bad that the family dog Muff would refuse to enter the house during the pounding episodes. Finally, in June 1966, two structural experts from the LA Department of Building and Safety told the family that the disturbances may have been caused by expansive soil that swelled up and lifted one corner of the house after absorbing water during recent rains. This information did not convince the Cannon family to take their house off the market. They said they didn't like living in a house with built-in sound effects. Today the house is still standing, but with no recent reports of unusual sounds. The crying portrait baby haunted a large house in Riverside. It was the subject of a Tina Flown article in the March 19, 1973 edition of the San Bernardino Sun newspaper. The haunting was reported to have taken place at the Irvine Mansion on Brockton Avenue. Built in 1906, it was originally known as the Stell Lou Vine Mansion. The ghost was theorized to be the baby son of the original owners, the Irvine family. He was born and also died in the house. His image can be seen as the centerpiece of an antique stained glass window in the home. The baby's crying was first heard in 1938 when the house was being sold to the Freeman family. Riverside City inspectors heard the baby and immediately left the property, refusing to return. After the purchase of the mansion, it was turned into a boarding house, where as many as 10 guests resided. In 1972, a room and 3 meals a day cost only $35 a week. By the 1980s, the boarding house had been converted into a child care center, and the baby's ghostly wails ceased. The house is still standing. It was most recently resold in 2021 to a family for in the vicinity of about $1 million. Ghosts also haunt the San Bernardino Mountains. The Lake Arrowhead brothel ghost occasionally haunts the Bracken Fern Manor Bed and Breakfast Inn, located in the Lake Arrowhead area. The manor was built in 1926 and was part of the Arrowhead Villas and Arrowhead Villas Club development. By 1929, the property was taken over by mobster Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. It came to be known as the Club Arrowhead in the Pines. It consisted of 2 buildings, a casino speakeasy on one side of the street and a brothel on the other. The buildings were connected by an underground tunnel. The Bracken Fern Manor, seen here in the lower right corner, is allegedly haunted by the ghost of a prostitute who was killed by a jealous mobster. Her name was Violet, known for wearing a violet-scented perfume. Today it is said that one can smell her perfume when she is wandering the hallways.
Todos me dicen el negro, Llorona, negro pero cariñoso.
Former Redlands resident Joan Baez sang a song about La Llorona on her 1974 Spanish-language album Gracias a la Vida. Agua Mansa Road in Colton is perhaps the most haunted stretch of land in the Inland Empire. It is along this road that many have claimed to have seen La Llorona, the weeping woman. In an October 26, 2006 article entitled La Llorona Haunts Lonely Stretch of Road, a San Bernardino Sun staff writer attempted to make sense of the story. She wrote, "Legend has it her name was Maria. and she was a poor yet beautiful woman who attracted the affections of a son of a wealthy rancher from the southern plains. The two eloped and had several children. And then the story goes, he left her. One day, as she walked her children by the river, her husband rode by with a wealthy woman beside him. He stopped to speak to his children, but completely ignored Maria. Maria flew into a jealous rage and flung her young children into the river, where they drowned. Realizing what she had done, she ran to the side of the river to try and save them, but it was too late. Now she spends eternity searching waterways and crying out for her lost children. On a rainy day in 1975, Inland Empire hypnotist Baron von Brenner traveled to Agua Mansa Cemetery in Colton, attempting to contact Maria. Sun Telegram staff writer Jimmy Johnson covered the ghost hunt. Von Brenner should be familiar to regular viewers of Tales from the IE, for in the early 1960s he appeared at Tommy Sandy's Club Sahara in San Bernardino. With the help of Bloomington clairvoyant Shirley Moreno, they attempted to contact the spirit of Maria. Under hypnosis, Shirley said, "There is a woman here. She is wearing something over her head, and I can't see her face. She's dressed in a big long dress and shawl. She is looking for her children. She is aware she is living in another dimension, and admits people have seen her on occasion." At that point, the drizzle turned into a downpour, and the Baron put a stop to the interdimensional communication. He said, "That's all we will get today." As a bolt of lightning lit up the sky, Shirley the clairvoyant wondered out loud, "I wonder if it was La Llorona." Returning to the 2006 article, the reporter also spoke with local residents who had a story or two to tell about La Llorona. Her penance was that she wouldn't go to heaven until she found her kids, said Mary Gaumont, who was born and raised in Colton. The 67-year-old Gaumont grew up in a home on L Street, will never forget the sound that awoke her one May night about 57 years ago. I don't know what time it was. It was the screeching voice that was real loud. It was a sound that kind of penetrates into your body, Gaumont said. I heard it 3 times, and all the dogs in the neighborhood started barking. I remember that I got goosebumps all over my body and a cold sweat. The next morning, Gaumont's mother told her that it was the cry of La Llorona. Gaumont recalled, whatever she heard, it wasn't human. Teresa Buenrostro, 75, recalls hearing all the stories of La Llorona and her haunting of Agua Mansa Road and the Agua Mansa Cemetery, San Bernardino County's oldest cemetery. She had been told not to look in the rearview mirror when driving down the road. La Llorona was said to appear. Edmund Gomez, the pastor of the Immaculate Conception and San Salvador Catholic Churches in Colton, said several times a year he hears church members' accounts of La Llorona's appearances. Gomez said the ghost of La Llorona is something in the spirit world, which is a different reality in itself, he said. Is it possible to see spirits? As Christians, we would say no. If we do wind up seeing a spirit, it's not so much a figment of the imagination, but the presence of evil and someone enslaved in evil. La Llorona would be this because she murdered her kids, which would be infanticide, and killed herself, and that would be suicide. She would be a lost soul. Socorro and Delia Rosales are two of the few Agua Mansa Road residents. I've lived here for over 55 years, but we haven't seen or heard anything, Delia said. She said that she and her husband were warned when they first moved to their home that the road was haunted by La Llorona. She said she understands that the road is dark and dangerous, but it doesn't mean that it is haunted. In the 55 years that they have lived in the home on Agua Mansa Road, no trick-or-treaters have ever come by to get candy. When we first moved here, we bought all this candy during Halloween, but nobody came by, Delia said. I guess they were scared or something. Historians say that the tale of La Llorona has been told in Mexico since at least the 1500s. With both live-action and animated movies still being produced today about her, not to forget numerous books, there's no indication that the story is going away soon.